Minigames and recurring characters in open world are what keeps a series alive well past its main story. For a series about a certain Yakuza underworld, there was one breakout character from his own company minigame that broke out of side content and into a fully voiced character. If there was one consistent carryover from Yakuza 0 that fit into the rest of the series quite effortlessly, it'd be Pocket Circuit, a little game where you can get these tiny RC racing cars, customize them, whether that's the balance, the speed, the motor, the frame, and whatnot, that go in these races to just become the fastest of them all, huh? And led by a Pocket Circuit fighter himself, aka Fujisawa. It's becoming a returning minigame that hasn't overstayed its welcome. Only appearing as a minigame 3 times in Yakuza 0, Kiwami 1, and the Manor Race's name, with 2 other appearances that evolve into a playable life-size racing game and the form of Dragon Kart. That being its appearances in Yakuza 7 and Power Yakuza. It's a piece of Like a Dragon history worth the retrospective. So technically the Pocket Circuit game mode we all know is only playable in 3 games. Besides that, Fighter himself has 2 distinct substories, and Yakuza 6 and Yakuza 8. With the other 2, like I said, being the Dragon Kart minigame. All in all, roughly 7 appearances, plus a bonus cameo in Kiwami 2's Majima construction if you want to have Pocket Circuit Fighter appear as part of your crew. A cool detail is that this picture of Kiryu in Pocket Circuit Fighter, there's a few variations of it, but it's a recurring appearance in songs such as Baka Mitai in recent years. And with that picture being said, I'm going to take this video in a different direction than my other history of videos for the Yakuza Like a Dragon series. Because you know what? That photo right there says all you need to know about Pocket Circuit and Kiryu. Now I'm going to freestyle and get into this in a more sense of what it means emotionally for Kiryu and the series, and seeing this one particular random guy in the open world have his own fully evolved story that's fun to follow. Before the events of Yakuza 6, Fujisawa would eventually marry a woman named Misaki and have a son named Sakito with her. The trio moved to Hiroshima at some point, putting up a tofu shop in Unamichi, because if we followed Fujisawa's story before that point, it was mentioned by him that he's kind of from a small country town in mainland Japan, and his family was known for having, I believe, some kind of tofu business, and there was pressure on him by his parents and society to give up being Pocket Circuit Fighter and to go back to his family tofu business, which is what we see happen here in Yakuza 6. And by the time 2016 rolls around, he finally reunites with Kiryu, just by happenstance. Now, you should know that of all times for Yakuza to accidentally mess up some continuity, it would be here, but that's only because both Fujisawa and Kiryu talk like they haven't seen each other in decades since Yakuza 0. Now, you could, squint your eyes and, shove some Pocket Circuit parts in your ears, because, they yell at the wall and be like, maybe there's old guys, or, it's more of a, hey, I haven't seen you in so long, it felt like years. But, well, that's because Yakuza 6 was in development, and then Sega and RGG also decided to make Yakuza Kiwami, the first of many remakes, and because of that remake having Fujisawa appear a bit older in 2005, to have Pocket Circuit be a minigame again for Kiryu, and they reunite there. Yeah, that doesn't really line up with what is said in Yakuza 6, but nonetheless, this is a nice way of having Kiryu reunite with a fully voiced Fujisawa, because Yakuza 6 has a lot of great fully voiced sub-stories. And seeing them reunite and bond and having it culminate in Fujisawa being able to stand up to his own wife and defend his son while putting back on his old costume and showing his son his love of Pocket Circuit, and so they can bond as that. That way, Fujisawa's son doesn't have to worry too much about being the best student in school. He can still have something fun to do with his dad, that being Pocket Circuit. So after this event, this build-up to the sub-stories you'd see in Yakuza 0, and even Kiwami 1, of Kiryu's adventures with the kids, and 0, all those other kids you have to compete against at the Pocket Circuit tournaments, and have them appear a little bit grown up, and Kiwami 1, which that is a nice reason to play Kiwami 1 for those sub-stories, and seeing everybody find their spark again, and Pocket Circuit, you get that same influence here with him, Fujisawa, appearing to help his son keep hold of his childhood, and in other ways having Fujisawa himself reclaim his true passion for finding an entertainment venue that have people go and escape into, and all in all bonding over Pocket Circuit. So by the events of Yakuza 7 and the man who erased his name, you would see how after the events of 6, Fujisawa was able to evolve Pocket Circuit and truly take over as its, rightful heir. So this is a two-pronged thing. First, he invented Dragon Kart that appears in Yokohama, where Ichibal's Kazuga can meet him, and once again, like a normal Pocket Circuit, Dragon Kart follows the same formula. You upgrade your car, except obviously it's life-sized. You change cosmetics, you get upgrades, you go through certain races on different tracks, timed, and you have to complete a succession of sub-stories against competing racers that have a little bit of story to them, and if I really went into them, there's not a lot to go into, right? It's the same format you see of other Yakuza sub-story chains, whether it's cabaret clubs, real estate, the Dodonko Island, you name it. There's a bunch of at least 5 people you have to go against and whatnot to get to that particular end boss. Obviously, these are some challenging races, but with Pocket Circuit in any of these modes and Dragon Kart, if you save up enough money, you just splurge and get all the upgrades you need. You know what I'm saying? And as I said that Yakuza 7 takes place at the same time Man erases name, Man erases name also shows Certain Boy, and while Certain Boy does appear in Yakuza 7, as you can see in these clips I'm showing, obviously it doesn't line up with the exact way it appears in 7, but that's alright. Anyway, the Man erases name, there's magically a new bar that happens to be a partner of Pocket Circuit. It's a local Sotenpori bar, that being Core Star. I used to think it was called Court Star, but no, it's Core Star, as in Courstar. So it's a local bar where parents and kids can have fun. Obviously, the kids aren't going to drink, but, if you're a parent, you need your kid to do something, they can play Pocket Circuit and meet new friends, and you can go meet with your own friends and have a drink. Seems like the best of both worlds. But there's a woman named Rad, and she was the latest main Pocket Circuit commentator. And she appears here and also appears a few years later in Hawaii during Power Yakuza, where she was now that location's showrunner for Dragon Kart. And funnily enough, this idea of having a Pocket Circuit in a bar, well, it doesn't stop parents from taking their kids there. So you could say this is truly the location for all ages. And as you see in this footage, there's a lot of fun to be had, and Pocket Circuit appearing in the man who races name. It's all the same mechanics. There's probably a few new cars, obviously some new tracks, and a whole new system for fighting rival races where you can go around town. And honestly, this game has been out for about 3 years now, and I'm still finding new stuff to find in Gaiden. And I appreciate for that. Usually people talk about the Coliseum in that game, but having Pocket Circuit having its own chain of missions was actually a very welcome change of pace. And with some modifications to its system, and I assume that being with the Dragon Engine as well, it feels all around like a truly good evolution. And when looking back in this series, it's funny to think about how the actual Pocket Circuit game has barely appeared, but being returned, and allowing Joryu to have some connection to his past. Again, if there's a way to describe Pocket Circuit, it's like a longing for the past, and that as much as your environment, your city, your town, your life and technology and culture changes, you can still have something that takes you back to a simpler past. And that's why I think that this photo of Kiryu and Pocket Circuit Fighter that's evolved throughout the years keeps coming back. And there's a reason that Kiryu's held on to it. Again, there's one thing that makes Pocket Circuit truly fit into the overall timeline and being consistent. And I feel like no matter what, if you do want to have Yakuza 0 part of your Yakuza canon or not, just because it's a prequel, you can at least look back and be like, yeah, I could definitely see Kiryu doing Pocket Circuit, something fun in the 80s, and it just feels like such an endearing, inherent, and strong part of being an addition to Yakuza's lore, and giving Kiryu something funny. I mean, come on, look how goofy he gets and how over serious he gets in Pocket Circuit. There's a reason it's a meme, and there's a reason it's been resonant with fans. That's because I believe it's truly something for all ages. It's a game, it's a mini game, but it's also a location, a hub for people to go to. You don't need the internet to partake in it. You have to be there yourself. You have to be in the moment. You have to be racing and upgrading and meeting people to be the best. And even if you're not the best, as we see across these sub-stories where Kiryu does defeat his, rival opponents, it's not about being the best, it's about the memories, about the collaboration, the culture, the having a place for community. And community is Pocket Circuit, and Pocket Circuit is community. And throughout all these games, and the various forms it's taken, even when Pocket Circuit isn't playable at all, we only get to see our main legendary commentator Fujisawa appear. He has such a fully rounded out story, and by the time you get the Yakuza 8 and that heartfelt story mission, the sub-story of him just telling his new Pocket Circuit guy and just telling him that he really wants to meet Kiryu again one more time so they can race and laugh and cry and celebrate like the kids they used to be. That is just so poetic. And of all side characters throughout the franchise, somehow Pocket Circuit has reigned supreme as being a truly endearing one that had something to say, something innocent to say, that fit tonally and full of as much humanity as it did in Yakuza 0, as it did over 30 years later in Yakuza 8. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your favorite memories of Pocket Circuit and what it means to you. I've been Mr. Tiger Drop Films. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, grab your favorite Pocket Circuit car, and let's hit to the races.
わかりました。絶対伝えます。それじゃ、失礼します。今でも大切な友達か。一生ものの友達ができるんだもんな。ポケサーって最高だよね。カズマくん。いつかまた巡り会えたら、またあの頃みたいに、子供みたいに泣いたり笑ったり、怒ったりしながらさ、ポケサーやろうぜ、カズマくん。